The space around the Kepler 442 system was filled with alien ships. More than 200 warships floated in the darkness, their metal hulls gleaming under the light of the distant star. Each ship was huge, bristling with weapons that could destroy planets. The Zephyrian Collective had sent their best fleet to claim the asteroid belt that orbited the system's fourth planet. Commander Jake Morrison sat in the pilot's seat of the USS Defiant, watching the alien armada through his ships. View screen. His vessel looked tiny compared to the massive alien dreadnoughts. The Defiant was old, scarred from many battles, and appeared to be nothing more than a small cargo ship that had seen better days. "Sir, we're getting multiple signals from the alien fleet," said Amy Foster from her position at the communications console. She was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and steady hands that never shook even when facing impossible odds. Jake nodded. "Put them through." The main screen flickered, showing the face of Admiral Vextar, the Zephyrian fleet commander. His skin was pale blue, and his eyes were completely black. Two small horns curved from his forehead, and when he smiled, his teeth were sharp like a shark's. "Attention, pathetic human." Vextar's voice was deep and mocking. "You have entered Zephyrian space. Your tiny ship offends us with its presence. Leave now, or we will turn you into space dust." Jake remained silent, his face calm. He was 42 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much war. His hands rested on the controls, but he did not move to leave. Vextar's smile grew wider. The human does not respond. Perhaps he is too frightened to speak. The alien commander turned to address his fleet. "Look at this rusty bucket they call a warship. It is smaller than our shuttles. How amusing that the humans think they can challenge us with such garbage." Laughter echoed across the communication channels. Hundreds of alien voices joined in, their cruel amusement filling the void of space. Other species had gathered to watch. A spectacle. Ships from the Sarai Trade Union, the Rigel Federation, and the Tau Ceti Alliance hung back at safe distances, their crews placing bets on how quickly the human ship would be destroyed. "Look at it," said one alien voice. "It has patches on its hull. Are those repairs made with metal scraps?" "The humans are so primitive," laughed another. "They probably power their ship with coal and steam." "I heard they still use projectile weapons," added a third voice. "Can you imagine? Throwing chunks of metal at energy shields." Jake's crew of 12 worked quietly at their stations. Chief Engineer Lisa Hayes sat at the engineering console, her fingers dancing over the controls. She was 38, with red hair tied back in a practical ponytail. Her green eyes showed no fear, only focus. Ryan Clark, the tactical officer, was 29 and built like a soldier. His hands were steady on the weapons controls, but the weapons systems showed offline to any scanner that might be watching. "Sir," whispered Amy, "we're picking up communications from the observer ships. They're taking bets on how long we'll last." "What are the odds?" Jake asked quietly. "Most think we'll be destroyed in under 30 seconds once the fighting starts." Jake almost smiled. Interesting. Admiral Vextar's voice boomed across the channels again. "Attention, all vessels. Today you will witness the power of the Zephyrian Collective. Watch as we demonstrate what happens to those who dare to challenge us. The human pest will provide entertainment before we claim these asteroids." The alien fleet began to move. The massive ships turned toward the USS Defiant, like predators circling wounded prey. Their weapons powered up, casting red and blue glows across their hulls. Energy shields shimmered around each vessel, making them look like deadly soap bubbles floating in the night. "They're charging weapons," Ryan reported, his voice calm despite the situation. "Shields?" Jake asked. "Holding at 12%, Lisa replied. just enough to make it look like we're trying. The alien ships spread out in a hunting formation. They moved slowly, taking their time. There was no rush. What could one small human ship do against such overwhelming force? Human vessel, Vextar called out. You have 30 seconds to surrender. Prepare to be boarded. We will take your crew as slaves and use your ship for target practice. Jake finally spoke. His voice was calm and steady. Negative. We decline your offer. The aliens burst into fresh laughter. He declines. Vextar roared. The human mouse thinks he can fight the storm. Very well. All ships prepare to open fire. Let us show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the Zephyrian collective. Warning. Lights flashed on alien ships as their weapons reached full power. The observer vessels moved even further back, not wanting to be caught in the crossfire. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. Sir, Amy said softly, multiple targeting locks. Detected. They're painting us with enough firepower to crack a moon. Jake's hands tightened on the controls. Lisa, are we ready? All systems standing by, she replied. The reactor is purring like a kitten. Ryan? Weapons hot and ready, sir. Just give the word. Jake looked at the massive alien fleet surrounding his small ship. 200 warships against one. The odds were impossible. Perfect. Not yet, he said quietly. Let them get closer. Let them think they've already won. Admiral Vextar. Voice filled the communication channels one last time. Fire. The space around the USS Defiant lit up with enemy fire. Dozens of energy beams and plasma bolts streaked toward the small human ship. The alien weapons were powerful enough to melt through asteroid rock like butter. Jake jerked the controls hard. To the right. The Defiant spun away from the incoming fire, but not fast enough. 3 plasma bolts struck the ship's shields, causing sparks to fly from the control panels. Shields down to 8%. Lisa called out, her voice tight with fake panic. Hull breach on deck 2. Ryan added, playing his part perfectly. The alien laughter grew louder. Look at it run. Vextar's voice boomed across the channels. The little mouse scurries away from the cats. Jake pushed the engines harder, sending the Defiant racing toward the outer edge of the system. The ship's movement looked desperate and uncontrolled. Smoke poured from damaged sections, and the engines sputtered as if they might fail at any moment. Follow it. Vextar ordered his fleet. Do not let it escape. We will chase it down like the coward it is. The massive alien ships turned to pursue, but they moved slowly and without care. This was not a battle to them. It was a hunt. They spread out in a loose formation, each captain wanting to be the one to land the killing blow. Human ship, called out one of the alien captains. Your engines are failing. Surrender now, and we will make your death quick. Jake did not respond. He kept the Defiant moving toward the system's edge, weaving between asteroids and debris. The ship's path seemed random and panicked, but Jake was actually leading the aliens exactly where he wanted them to go. Sir, Amy whispered, the observer ships are following us. They want to see the kill up close. Perfect, Jake replied quietly. The more witnesses, the better. The chase continued for 20 minutes. The Defiant limped through space, taking more hits from the alien weapons. Each strike seemed to damage the ship further. Pieces of hull plating broke away and tumbled into the void. The ship's energy readings dropped lower and lower. Their shields are almost gone, reported one alien captain. One more hit should finish. Them. No, Vextar commanded. I want them alive. Disable their engines, but do not destroy them. I want to look into their eyes as they realize their mistake. The alien ships closed in. The Defiant was now surrounded by dozens of massive warships, each one bristling with weapons. The small human vessel looked like a wounded bird surrounded by wolves. "This is Admiral Vextar," the alien commander announced. "Human vessel, you are defeated. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any attempt to resist will result in your immediate destruction." Inside the Defiant, Jake's crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. Lisa's fingers danced across hidden controls that the aliens could not see. Ryan checked weapon systems that did not appear on any scanner. Amy monitored communications while recording everything for later broadcast. "Sir," Lisa said softly, "all systems are green. The reactor is running at full capacity." "Weapons?" Jake asked. "Armed and ready," Ryan replied. "Targeting solutions locked on primary targets." Jake looked at the screen showing the alien fleet. The enemy ships had formed perfect circle around his vessel. They were so confident in their victory that they had moved within close range. Their shields were down to conserve power, and their weapons were powering down after the chase. "They think we're finished," Amy observed. "They're about to learn otherwise," Jake said. "Lisa, drop the disguise on my mark." Ryan prepared to fire. On my command, the USS Defiant drifted in space, apparently dead in the water. Smoke continued to pour from damaged sections, and the ship's lights flickered weakly. To any observer, it looked like a vessel on its last breath. "Prepare boarding parties," Vextar ordered. "I want 20 soldiers on that ship. Bring me the human captain alive. He will tell us how many ships Earth has and where their colonies are located." The alien ships moved even closer. They were now within point-blank range, their massive hulls blocking out the stars. The crews were relaxed, already celebrating their easy victory. "Human captain," Vextar called out, "your silence will not save you. We have ways of making prisoners talk. Perhaps watching your crew die will loosen your tongue." Jake finally activated the communication system. His voice was calm and steady as he spoke. "Admiral Vextar, this is Commander Jake Morrison of the USS Defiant. I am broadcasting on all frequencies so that every ship in this system can hear what I have to say." "Speak your final words, human," Vextar laughed. "Make them count." "You were given a chance to leave human space peacefully," Jake said. "You chose to threaten us instead. You chose to mock us. You chose to hunt us like animals. That was your mistake." The alien laughter grew louder. "Your mistake was coming here with one tiny ship," Vextar replied. "Did you think you could frighten? You? Did you think we would run from such a pathetic vessel?" "No," Jake said quietly. "I thought you would get close enough." "Close enough for what?" Vextar demanded. Jake smiled for the first time since the encounter began. "Lisa, drop the disguise. Ryan, you are free to engage." The space around the USS Defiant suddenly changed. The damaged, smoking hull flickered and disappeared like a broken hologram. In its place stood a sleek, deadly warship, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Defiant's true form was revealed. Advanced armor plating covered its hull, and weapon ports opened along its sides. Energy conduits glowed with power, and the ship's engines hummed with barely contained force. "Impossible," Vextar whispered. "All alien vessels," Jake's voice carried across the communication channels. "You have 10 seconds to begin immediate withdrawal from this system. Any ship that remains will be considered hostile and will be destroyed." The alien fleet stared in shock at the transformed vessel. The small cargo ship was gone, replaced by something that looked like it had been built by gods of war. 10 seconds, Vextar snarled. "You still have only one ship. We have 200. You cannot defeat us all." 9, Jake counted down. "All ships open fire," Vextar screamed. "Destroy that thing." 8, 7, 6. The alien weapons began to charge, but they were too close to maneuver effectively. A tight formation that had seemed so perfect for a capture was now a trap. 5, 4, 3. Ryan, Jake said calmly, show them what human weapons can do. 2, 1. The USS Defiant opened fire. The first shots from the USS Defiant were like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Bright white beams of energy erupted from the ship's weapon ports, moving at impossible speeds. The beams struck 12 alien ships before their crews could even react. The alien vessels simply vanished. They did not explode or break apart. They were there one moment, and gone the next, turned to atoms by the incredible power of human weapons. Impossible, Admiral Vextar screamed. What kind of weapons are those? Jake's voice remained calm as he answered. The kind that end wars quickly. The remaining alien ships tried to scatter, but they were too close together. The Defiant moved. Between them like a deadly dancer, its engines allowing it to change direction in ways that broke the laws of physics as the aliens understood them. Ryan's hands moved across his controls with practiced skill. Targeting solutions locked on 43. Vessels, he reported, firing. Another wave of energy beams lanced out from the human ship. This time, 26 alien vessels were destroyed in the span of 3 seconds. The space around the Defiant filled with the debris of what had been mighty warships moments before. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Vextar commanded. Get away from that thing. But the alien ships were massive and slow. They had been built for overwhelming firepower, not for quick movement. The Defiant, meanwhile, spun and twisted through space like a bird riding the wind. How is it moving like that? Demanded Captain Ziegler from one of the surviving ships. Our sensors show it should not be able to turn so quickly. Because your sensors are reading false information, Jake replied. His voice carried on all communication. Channels. You see what we wanted you to see. You believed what we wanted you to believe. The truth was slowly dawning on the alien crews. The human ship had not been damaged during the chase. The smoking hull, the failing engines, the desperate flight toward the system's edge, it had all been an act. The humans had been leading them into a trap. Sir, Amy reported, the observer ships are trying to leave the system. Let them go. Jake said, they need to carry word of what happened here. Lisa's voice came over the ship's communication system. Reactor output at 60% and climbing. All weapon systems operating at full capacity. Ryan, continue firing at will, Jake ordered. Priority targets are the command ships. The Defiant's weapons fired again and again. Each shot found its mark, and each hit destroyed an alien vessel completely. The human ship moved through the enemy formation, like a shark through a school of fish, leaving nothing but destruction in its wake. This cannot be happening, Vextar said, his voice no longer filled with arrogance. Humans are primitive. They use chemical rockets and metal bullets. They cannot have weapons like this. You underestimated us, Jake replied. While you grew fat and lazy with your easy victories, we kept learning. We kept building. We kept preparing for the day when we would meet you in battle. The alien fleet was now in complete panic. Ships that had been hunting the human vessel minutes before were now fleeing in terror. But the Defiant was faster than all of them. It caught up to the running ships and destroyed them one by one. Admiral, called out Captain Nordax from the heavy cruiser Deathbringer, our shields cannot stop their weapons. Our armor is useless. How do we fight something like this? You don't, Jake answered before Vextar could respond. You surrender, or you die. Those are your only choices. The space battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The observer ships, those that had not yet fled, recorded everything. The footage would be broadcast across hundreds of worlds, showing species that had considered humans to be weak and primitive that they were deadly wrong. "67 enemy vessels destroyed," Ryan reported. "Remaining ships are attempting to retreat. Let some of them go," Jake said. "But not all. They need to understand the price of threatening human space." The USS Defiant pursued the fleeing aliens, picking them off with careful precision. Jake was not conducting a battle. He was teaching a lesson. Every shot was calculated, every movement planned. The human ship danced between the alien vessels like death itself, beautiful and terrible. "Sir," Lisa called out, "we're receiving surrender signals from 32 ships." "Accepted," Jake replied. "But they will remain here until Earth decides what to do with them. Any ship that tries to leave will be destroyed." Admiral Vextar's flagship, the massive dreadnought World Killer, was still in the fight. The alien commander had stopped trying to flee and was now turning his ship to face the human vessel. His weapons were powering up for one final attack. "You may have superior technology," Vextar snarled, "but you are still only one ship. The World Killer has armor thick enough to survive the explosion of a star. Your weapons cannot penetrate it." "You want to test that theory?" Jake asked. "I will destroy you with my bare hands if necessary," Vextar replied. "The Zephyrian Collective does not surrender to primitive humans." The World Killer was truly massive, over 3 kilometers long and bristling with weapons. Its armor was legendary, and its shields could deflect the main guns of a dozen battleships. It was the most powerful warship in the Zephyrian fleet. "Ryan," Jake said quietly, "show the Admiral what our main gun can do." "Sir, the main gun is still charging. It will take 30 seconds to reach full power." Then we wait 30 seconds. The World Killer opened fire with everything it had. Massive energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the Defiant. The human ship twisted and spun, avoiding most of the incoming fire. The few shots that connected struck the ship's shields, which absorbed the impact without even flickering. "Impossible," Vextar breathed. "Those were planet-killer weapons." "Your planet-killer weapons," Jake said, "are toys compared to what we have built." The 30 seconds passed. Deep in the heart of the USS Defiant, the main weapon reached full charge. It was a weapon that had taken human scientists 20 years to develop, using principles of physics that other species had not yet discovered. "Main gun ready," Ryan reported. "Fire," Jake ordered. The space around the Defiant lit up like a newborn star. A beam of pure energy, brighter than a sun, erupted from the human ship and struck the World Killer dead center dot, the massive alien dreadnought. With its legendary armor and impenetrable shields, simply ceased to exist. The beam went straight through it and continued on into space, disappearing into the void. Admiral Vextar and his crew of 5,000 were gone in an instant. The remaining alien ships stopped moving. Their crews stared in shock at the empty space where their most powerful vessel had been. The silence on the communication channels was complete. "This is Commander Jake Morrison," Jake's voice carried across the system. "Any alien vessel that wishes to surrender may do so now. Any ship that chooses to continue fighting will share the same fate as the World Killer." One by one, the remaining alien ships powered down their weapons and surrendered. The surrender lasted exactly 43 seconds. Captain Harvex of the battle cruiser Vengeance broke the ceasefire first. His ship had been hidden behind a large asteroid, powering down its systems to avoid detection. Now he brought his weapons online and fired at the USS Defiant from behind. "Treacherous humans," he screamed over the communication channels. "You think your tricks will save you? The Zephyrian Collective will never surrender to primitive apes." The surprise attack caught Jake's crew off guard. 3 plasma torpedoes struck the Defiant's rear shields, causing the human ship to shake. Warning lights flashed on the bridge, and sparks flew from damaged control panels. Shields down to 92%, Lisa reported. Jake's face remained calm, but his eyes turned cold. Ryan, destroy that ship. Then target every vessel that powered up weapons during the surrender. Sir, that's 18 ships, Ryan said. Then we destroy 18 ships, Jake replied. They had their chance for mercy. The USS Defiant spun around faster than any ship its size should have been able to move. Its main gun was still charged from the previous shot, and Ryan fired it at the Vengeance. The alien ship vanished in a flash of light, just like the world killer before it. All ships that broke the surrender, Jake's voice carried across the battlefield. You have 10 seconds to prepare for destruction. The alien captains who had powered up their weapons began to panic. Some tried to flee, while others attempted to surrender again. Jake ignored their pleas. 10 seconds have passed, he said quietly. Ryan, you may fire at will. What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. The USS Defiant moved through the remaining alien ships like a force of nature, destroying each vessel that had chosen to break the surrender. The human ship's weapons fired with mechanical precision, each shot finding its target. Please, begged Captain Zorkath of the destroyer Bloodfang. We surrender. We were wrong to fire. You had your chance, Jake replied. You chose to break a surrender under a flag of truce. There are no second chances for that. The Bloodfang died in a burst of white light. The remaining alien ships, those that had not broken the surrender, watched in terror as their former allies were destroyed. The crews realized that the humans did not make empty threats. When they said surrender, they meant it completely. Sir, Amy reported, we're receiving communications from the observer ships. They're broadcasting everything live across the galaxy. Good, Jake said. Let every species see what happens when humans are pushed too far. The battle was being watched by millions of beings across hundreds of worlds. The footage showed a single human ship destroying an entire alien fleet with ease. The images were unbelievable, but they were real. Is this some kind of human trick? Asked Ambassador Feltar of the Centauri Trade Union, speaking from his observation ship. How can one vessel defeat so many? It's not a trick, Jake replied, his voice carrying to all the observer ships. This is what happens when you underestimate humanity. We have been preparing for this day for 50 years. The truth was more complex than Jake let on. The USS Defiant was not just any human ship. It was a prototype, the first of a new class of vessels that represented everything humanity had learned about war and technology. The ship's weapons were based on principles that other species had not yet discovered. Its armor was made from materials that existed only in human laboratories. Sir, Lisa said over the internal communication system, we're getting energy readings from the gas giant. Something big is moving in the atmosphere. Jake checked his sensors. Ryan, what do? You see? Looks like a Zephyrian stealth carrier, Ryan replied. It's been hiding in the gas giant's storms. I count 30 fighter craft launching. The alien fighters were small and fast, designed to swarm larger ships and overwhelm their defenses. They came screaming out of the gas giant's atmosphere like angry wasps, their weapons already charging. Clever, Jake said. They thought they could hide in the planet's radiation and strike when we were distracted. The 30 fighters spread out in attack formation, trying to surround the USS Defiant. Their plasma cannons opened fire, filling space with deadly energy bolts. The small ships moved quickly, trying to stay ahead of the human vessel's main guns. Shields holding, Lisa reported. The fighter weapons are too weak to penetrate our defenses. Ryan, use the point defense systems, Jake ordered. Show them what human fighters would face. The USS Defiant's hull opened in dozens of places, revealing small weapon turrets that had been hidden beneath the armor. The turrets moved independently, tracking the alien fighters with inhuman precision. Impossible, breathed the alien fighter squadron leader. No ship can have that many point defense guns. You're about to learn otherwise, Jake said. The point. Defense turrets opened fire all at once. Hundreds of energy beams lanced out from the human ship, creating a deadly web of light around the Defiant. The alien fighters flew straight into the trap. 15 fighters were destroyed in the first 2 seconds. The remaining pilots tried to break off and retreat, but the human weapons followed them with perfect accuracy. Within 30 seconds, all 30 fighters were gone. Stealth carrier, Jake called out. You have one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Never, came the reply from the carrier's captain. The Zephyrian Collective does not surrender. To humans. Then you will die like the rest, Jake said simply. The stealth carrier tried to escape back into the gas giant's atmosphere, but the USS Defiant was faster. Jake brought his ship around and fired the main gun at point-blank range. The alien vessel exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the gas giant's storms. Sir, Amy said, the remaining surrender ships are requesting permission to leave the system. Jake considered this. The alien ships that had honored the surrender were still powered down, their crews waiting for orders. They had shown respect for the rules of war, even after watching their allies die. Negative, Jake said. They will remain here until Earth Command decides what to do with them. But they will not be harmed if they continue to cooperate. The space around the USS Defiant was now filled with debris from destroyed alien ships. What had been a mighty fleet of 200 vessels was now reduced to 37 survivors, all of them surrendered and helpless. Sir, Ryan reported, long-range sensors are picking up movement at the edge of the system. Looks like reinforcements. Jake smiled grimly. How many? 50 ships, moving fast. They'll be here in 1 hour. Perfect, Jake said. We have time to reload and prepare a proper welcome for them. The USS Defiant moved through the debris field, its weapons already charging for the next battle. The message was clear. Humanity would not be pushed around anymore. Any species that threatened human space would face the same fate as the Zephyrian Collective. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not the primitive species they had believed them to be. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors who had learned to fight back. The 50 reinforcement ships arrived exactly 1 hour later, just as Ryan had predicted. They came in fast and angry, their weapons already charged for battle. Leading them was the massive flagship Supreme Victory, commanded by Admiral Kolvash, the highest-ranking Zephyrian officer in the sector. Human vessel. Kolvash's voice boomed across the communication channels. You have made a grave mistake. You have destroyed ships of the Zephyrian Collective. For this crime, you will be taken alive and brought before the High Council for judgment. Jake looked at the approaching fleet through his view screen. The new ships were even larger than the first group, and their weapons were more advanced. These were the elite forces of the Zephyrian military, the ships that had conquered a dozen star systems. Admiral Kolvash, Jake replied calmly, you are entering human space without permission. Turn around and leave now, or you will share the same fate as the previous fleet. The alien admiral's laughter echoed across space. Previous fleet? You? Mean the scouting force? Those were just scouts, human. These are real warships, crewed by real warriors. Your tricks will not work on us. Jake turned to Amy. Are you still broadcasting? Yes, sir. Every ship in the system is receiving our signal, and it's being relayed across the galaxy. Good, Jake said. I want everyone to see this. The USS Defiant had spent the last hour preparing for this moment. Lisa had redistributed power throughout the ship, bringing all systems to maximum efficiency. Ryan had reloaded the main gun and checked every weapon system twice. The ship was ready for war. Sir, Lisa reported, Reactor output at 100%. All weapon systems fully charged. Enemy formation analysis? Jake asked. They're coming in tight, Ryan replied. Same mistake as the First Fleet. They think their numbers will overwhelm us. Admiral Kolvash's ships moved into attack position, forming a wall of metal and weapons that stretched across space. Each ship was a fortress, built to destroy entire planets. Together, they represented the might of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 300 years. Human, Kolvash called out, you have 30 seconds to surrender. Drop your shields and prepare to be boarded. If you cooperate, your death will be quick. Counteroffer, Jake said. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawing from this system. If you cooperate, some of you might survive. The alien fleet responded with weapons fire. 50 ships opened up at once, sending a wall of energy and plasma toward the USS Defiant. The barrage was enough to destroy a small moon, and it lit up space like a second sun. The human ship vanished in the explosion. For a moment, the aliens thought they had won. Their cheers echoed across the communication channels, and Admiral Kolvash smiled with satisfaction. Then the USS Defiant emerged from the blast, completely undamaged. Its shields had absorbed the entire attack without even flickering. The ship looked exactly as it had before the battle began. Impossible, Kolvash whispered. That was enough firepower to crack a planet. Your mistake, Jake said, was thinking that human shields work like yours. Our technology is 50 years ahead of anything you have. The USS Defiant began to move. It accelerated toward the alien fleet faster than any ship its size should have been able to move. Its weapons came online, and space around it began to glow with contained energy. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Kolvash screamed, "Do not let it get close." But the alien ships were too slow. The USS Defiant reached the enemy formation in seconds, moving between the massive vessels like a bullet through tissue paper. Its weapons fired constantly, each shot destroying an alien ship instantly. How is it moving like that? Demanded Captain Veltar from the battle cruiser Unstoppable. Our sensors cannot track it. Because your sensors are reading false data, Jake replied. You see what we want you to see. You have always seen what we wanted you to see. The truth was finally revealed. The USS Defiant was not just advanced. It was revolutionary. The ship used technology that bent the laws of physics, allowing it to move and fight in ways that seemed impossible. Its weapons drew power from the fabric of space itself, and its shields could absorb energy attacks and convert them into more power. Sir, Ryan reported, 23 enemy vessels destroyed. Remaining ships are trying to retreat. Let them run, Jake said, but destroy any ship that tries to fire on us. The battle turned into a rout. The mighty Zephyrian fleet, which had conquered half the galaxy, was being destroyed by a single human ship. Admiral Kolvash watched in horror as his vessels were picked off one by one. This cannot be happening, he said. We are the masters of space. We are the conquerors of worlds. How can one human ship defeat us? Because you never truly understood what you were fighting, Jake replied. You thought humans were primitive because we used simple weapons and slow ships. You never realized that we were watching you, learning from you, preparing for the day when we would meet in battle. The USS Defiant continued its deadly dance through the alien fleet. Every movement was calculated, every shot precise. Jake's crew worked like a machine, their training and preparation showing in every action. Sir, Amy reported, we're receiving surrender signals from 15 ships. The rest are trying to flee the system. Accept the surrenders, Jake said. But any ship that tries to leave will be destroyed. They need to understand that there are consequences for threatening human space. Admiral Kolvash's flagship, the Supreme Victory, was now alone except for the surrendered vessels. The massive ship turned to face the USS Defiant, its weapons, charging for one final attack. "Human Captain," Kolvash called out, "I challenge you to single combat. Ship to ship, commander to commander. If you have any honor, you will accept." Jake considered this. "Very well, Admiral. But understand that this is not a game. When I defeat you, a message will be clear to every species in the galaxy. Humans are not to be underestimated." The two ships faced each other across the void. The Supreme Victory was 10 times larger than the USS Defiant, its hull bristling with weapons that could level cities. It represented 3 centuries of alien military engineering, the finest warship the Zephyrians had ever built. "You still think size matters," Jake said quietly. "You still don't understand." The Supreme Victory opened fire with everything it had. The space between the two ships filled with energy beams, plasma bolts, and quantum torpedoes. The barrage was overwhelming, enough to destroy a fleet of conventional ships. The USS Defiant moved through the attack like it was flying through a gentle rain. The alien weapons struck its shields and simply disappeared, their energy absorbed and converted into more power for the human ship. "Your turn," Jake said. The USS Defiant fired once. A single beam of pure energy struck the Supreme Victory's forward shields. The alien defenses held for exactly 1 second before collapsing completely. The beam continued through the ship's armor as if it were paper, cutting the massive vessel in half. Admiral Kolvash had just enough time to scream before his ship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from 3 star systems away. Remaining alien ships powered down their weapons immediately. Their crews stared in shock at the empty space where their most powerful warship had been. The silence on the communication channels was complete. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of the USS Defiant." Jake's voice carried across the system and, beyond, broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. "Today, the Zephyrian Collective learned that humans are not the primitive species they believed us to be. They came to our space with threats and mockery. They brought war to our doorstep. This is the result." The cameras on the observer ships captured everything. The footage showed a single human vessel destroying 2 entire alien fleets without taking significant damage. The images would be broadcast across hundreds of worlds, changing forever how the galaxy viewed humanity. "To any species watching this," Jake continued, "understand that Earth will defend itself. We ask only to be left in peace, but we are prepared for war if war is brought to us. Choose your actions carefully." The USS Defiant moved through the debris field, past the wreckage of ships that had once been the pride of an empire. The human vessel was unmarked, its weapons powered down but ready. It had proven its point without mercy or hesitation. "Sir," Lisa said, "we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command." "Put it through," Jake replied. The face of Admiral Sarah Blake appeared on the main screen. She was the commander of Earth's defense forces, a woman who had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. "Jake," she said, "outstanding work. The entire galaxy is talking about what happened today. 3 species have already requested diplomatic meetings, and the Rigel Federation just offered us a trade agreement." "Mission accomplished, then," Jake said. "More than accomplished," Blake replied. "You've changed everything. Humanity is no longer seen as weak or primitive. We're seen as dangerous, which is exactly what we needed." Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was smiling as she monitored the ship's systems. Ryan was checking weapon status with professional satisfaction. Amy was coordinating with Earth Command and the observer ships. They had all done their jobs perfectly. "Orders, Admiral?" Jake asked. "Return to Earth," Blake said. "There are politicians and reporters who want to talk to you. More importantly, there are engineers who want to study your battle data." A USS Defiant proved that our new technology works. B.